Bron Breakker revealed as mystery attacker, shocking alliance with Roman and Seth exposed. WWE just pulled off the most insane plot twist of 2026, and if you're not losing your mind right now about what this means for the entire landscape of WWE, you haven't been paying attention. Bron Breakker, the man everyone thought was a babyface on the rise, just revealed himself as the mystery attacker who's been terrorizing the roster for weeks, and he didn't do it alone. The alliance he's formed with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins is going to change everything, and the fallout from this reveal is going to dominate WWE programming for the next year. This isn't just a heel turn. This is a nuclear bomb dropped on the entire company. Drop a comment immediately. Did you see this coming, or are you as shocked as everyone else? Because what WWE just did rewrites the rulebook on faction storytelling, and there's no going back from this moment. Let me take you through what actually happened, because the execution of this reveal was masterful. For the past 6 weeks, WWE has been running a mystery attacker angle. Superstars getting jumped backstage, locker rooms getting destroyed, weapons left at crime scenes. Nobody knew who was behind it. The suspects kept changing. First, people thought it was a returning legend. Then they thought it was someone from NXT making a statement. The theories were endless, and WWE kept everyone guessing. Last night on Raw, the attacks escalated. Multiple superstars got taken out in one night. The chaos was reaching a fever pitch. And then, during the main event, a triple threat match for the #1 contendership, the arena went dark. When the lights came back on, Bron Breakker was standing in the ring. Not as a victim, not as a rescuer, as the perpetrator. The crowd went silent. You could hear a pin drop. And then Bron grabbed a microphone and said the 5 words that changed everything: "I did this for them." The lights flickered again. And when they stabilized, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins were standing on either side of Bron Breakker. The tribal chief, the visionary, and the second-generation powerhouse. 3 of the most dangerous men in WWE, united in an unholy alliance that nobody saw coming. The crowd lost their minds. Twitter exploded. Wrestling forums crashed. This was the kind of moment that makes people remember where they were when they saw it. Here's why people are furious, and this anger is completely justified. Bron Breakker was being positioned as the future babyface of WWE. He was the next John Cena, the next Batista, a powerhouse good guy that fans could rally behind. WWE spent months building him up as someone who represented the best of what wrestling could be. He was getting over organically. Fans were investing in him emotionally. And WWE just pulled the rug out from under everyone by making him a heel aligned with 2 of the most manipulative, calculating veterans in the business. But before we get too deep into the outrage, let's talk about why this actually makes sense from a storytelling perspective, because there are layers here that justify this decision. Bron Breakker is a Steiner. His father Rick and his uncle Scott were dominant forces in wrestling, and they weren't exactly known for playing by the rules. Wrestling is in Bron's DNA, but so is intensity, aggression, and a willingness to do whatever it takes to win. Turning him heel doesn't betray his character, it reveals who he really is underneath the smile. The alliance with Roman and Seth is genius on multiple levels. Roman Reigns is the master manipulator, the tribal chief who surrounds himself with the best to maintain his power. Seth Rollins has a history of being the architect, the mastermind behind faction warfare going back to his Shield days. Putting Bron between these 2 creates a volatile dynamic. Is Bron the muscle they're using? Is he an equal partner? Or is he the secret leader pulling strings from behind? WWE has so many directions they can take this, and that's what makes it exciting. Let's break down what this means for each individual member of this faction. For Roman Reigns, this alliance gives him something he's been missing since the bloodline fractured back up. Roman has been operating solo or with minimal support for months, and while he's proven he doesn't need help to dominate, having Bron and Seth in his corner makes him virtually unstoppable. Roman with a stable is dangerous, and WWE knows it. For Seth Rollins, this is a return to what made him a star in the first place. Seth thrives in group dynamics. His best work has always come when he's part of something bigger: the Shield, the Authority, his various partnerships. Aligning with Roman, his former Shield brother, creates instant drama and nostalgia. But adding Bron to the mix instead of completing the Shield with someone else shows that Seth is looking forward, not backward. He's not trying to recapture old glory. He's building something new. And for Bron Breakker, this is the moment that makes him. Being aligned with Roman and Seth immediately elevates Bron to main event status. He's not a developmental project anymore. He's not potential. He's a player. He's in the same conversations as the biggest stars in the company, and he's learning from 2 of the best in-ring psychologists in wrestling history. If WWE handles this right, Bron comes out of this faction run as a made man ready to carry WWE into the next decade. But here's where the controversy comes in, and this is what has hardcore fans absolutely livid. WWE has a terrible track record with factions. They start hot, they get over, and then WWE either breaks them up too soon or drags them out too long or books them inconsistently. The Shield worked because WWE committed to them. The Bloodline worked because WWE gave them time. But how many factions have we seen crash and burn because WWE lost interest or changed direction? League of Nations, Retribution, Hit Row, the list goes on. People are worried that this Braun-Roman-Seth alliance is going to follow the same pattern. We'll get 6 months of them dominating, then someone will turn on someone else, and the whole thing will fall apart before it reaches its full potential. And if that happens, it doesn't just waste the faction, it wastes Bron. He's at a critical point in his career where the booking decisions made now will determine whether he becomes a legend or another what could have been story. Let's talk about the reveal itself and how it was executed, because the details matter. The fact that Bron was the attacker all along recontextualizes everything we've seen over the past 6 weeks. Go back and watch the segments where superstars were attacked. Bron was always nearby. He was always one of the first people to arrive at the scene. He was always asking questions, playing the concerned colleague. WWE planted the clues, but they were subtle enough that nobody connected the dots. That's smart booking. The visual of Bron standing between Roman and Seth with all 3 men in tactical gear, looking like an unstoppable force, is going to be iconic. The camera work was perfect. The lighting was dramatic. The crowd reaction was genuine shock. Everything about that moment was designed to create a lasting image that defines this era of WWE, and it succeeded. But now comes the hard part: sustaining this momentum. The reveal was incredible, but what happens next week? How does WWE follow up on this nuclear bomb they just dropped? Do Roman, Seth, and Bron cut a promo explaining their motivations? Do they immediately target the champions and start collecting gold? Do they face resistance from the locker room, leading to babyfaces uniting against them? The possibilities are endless, but WWE must have a plan. Here's what people are demanding in the comments across social media: answers. Why did Bron align with Roman and Seth specifically? What's the endgame? Are they coming for all the championships? Is this about power, money, legacy, or something deeper? WWE can't leave these questions unanswered for too long, or the initial excitement will turn into frustration. Fans need to understand the motivation behind this alliance, or it's just 3 guys standing together for no reason. The potential opponents for this faction are stacked. Cody Rhodes, the current face of WWE, has history with both Roman and Seth. CM Punk has unfinished business with Seth. Drew McIntyre would love to get his hands on any of them. Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and the rest of Judgment Day could position themselves as rivals. The Usos could return and feel betrayed by Roman's new family. WWE has so many directions to take this, and that's what makes it exciting but also terrifying, because they could easily mess it up. Let's address the elephant in the room: is this the new bloodline? Because the parallels are obvious. Roman as the leader, younger hungry wrestlers as his enforcers, a focus on dominance and legacy. But calling this Bloodline 2.0 would be a mistake. This needs to be its own thing with its own identity. The Bloodline was about family and tribal heritage. This faction needs to be about something different, maybe excellence, maybe ruthlessness, maybe a shared belief that WWE needs to be torn down and rebuilt. Whatever it is, it needs to differentiate itself from what came before. One of the most interesting aspects of this reveal is Paul Heyman's reaction or lack thereof. Heyman wasn't at ringside during the reveal. He hasn't commented on social media. His silence is deafening. Is Heyman part of this faction? Did he orchestrate this behind the scenes? Or is he being kept in the dark by Roman, which could lead to Heyman feeling betrayed and switching allegiances? The Heyman variable adds an extra layer of intrigue to this entire situation. Here's the brutal reality that some fans don't want to hear: this heel turn might be the best thing for Bron Breaker's career. Yes, fans were starting to love babyface Bron, but WWE has dozens of babyfaces and not enough credible heels. The main event heel scene has been dominated by Roman for years, and while Seth can play heel, he's been more effective as a tweener. Bron as a no-nonsense, ass-kicking heel alongside 2 master manipulators creates a fresh dynamic that WWE desperately needs. The booking going forward is critical. This faction cannot lose clean. They cannot look weak. They cannot be comedy heels. They need to be dominant, serious, and dangerous. Every match should feel like a war. Every promo should feel like a threat. Every appearance should matter. If WWE books them like chicken shit heels who only win with interference and cheating, this entire angle fails. Let's talk about the long-term storytelling possibilities, because this is where things get really interesting. Eventually, this faction will implode. That's inevitable. But when and how it implodes will determine its legacy. If WWE can keep them together for 12 to 18 months, build them as the most dominant force in WWE history, and then have the breakup be a climactic, emotional, story-driven moment, that's legendary booking. But if they break up in 3 months because WWE gets bored or wants to do a quick storyline, it's a waste. The most logical breakup scenario involves Bron eventually turning on Roman and Seth, establishing himself as the guy by destroying the two men who made him. But that only works if WWE is patient enough to let Bron learn from them first, to let him absorb their knowledge and tactics, and to let fans want to see him break free. Rushing that moment would be disastrous. Here's what I need from you, and this is important. Comment below and tell me, do you love this reveal or hate it? Do you think Bron made the right decision aligning with Roman and Seth, or did WWE just ruin a future babyface star? What should this faction be called? And most importantly, how long do you think this alliance lasts before someone betrays someone else? Like this video if you're excited about this new era of WWE. Share it if you think this is going to be the storyline that defines 2026. Subscribe if you want me to break down every development in this faction's journey and hold WWE accountable if they drop the ball. Bron Breakker just shocked the world. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins just gained the most dangerous ally they could ask for. And WWE just created the kind of moment that people will be talking about for years. Now the question is, can they sustain this momentum and deliver a faction run that lives up to the incredible potential of this reveal? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: wrestling just got a lot more interesting.